Archaeologists are confident that they know when the first and largest war in Europe took place. The scientists solved the ancient Scandinavian code, which made him smile. 100,000 coins in one place and a statue that the older Chinese pee on. You will learn about aliens, $20 billion underwater, and other archaeological finds in this video. Hi friend, you're on the KirTop channel. Brewers of the warrior culture. The ancient warrior culture, which predates the Incan civilization, flourished in the Andes Mountains of Peru for hundreds of years. Particularly noteworthy is the fact revealed by research from the University of Florida and the Field Museum in 2005. Warrior brewers were women, and not ordinary workers, but representatives of the upper class, distinguished by their extraordinary beauty. These talented women brewed chicha, a traditional alcoholic drink made from corn and the fruit of the Peruvian pepper tree, which dates back 1,000 years. Scandinavian code solved. Jonas Nordby, a researcher at the University of Oslo, has deciphered an ancient Scandinavian cipher from the 12th to 13th centuries known as Jotunvelur, roughly translated as confusion of giants. The answer was found thanks to a 13th century wooden stick from the Norwegian city of Bergen, on which Sigurd and Lavrans wrote down their names both in ordinary runic writing and using the Jotunvelur cipher. This find became a kind of Rosetta Stone for the scientists, helping to decipher the text by reading each rune not by its direct meaning, but by the last sound in its name. In addition, other wooden inscriptions were discovered where the names Thorstein and Einar were written in the same code. Runic sticks of the 12th-13th centuries in Scandinavia were used to transmit messages reminiscent of modern SMS. Nordby believes that Jotunvelur could be used not so much for secrecy, but as a language game, helping to teach literacy. So the 800-year-old code called Jotunvelur turned out to be a joke. The message read, "Kiss me." Ancient tumor with teeth. During archaeological excavations in Amarna, Egypt, scientists made an amazing discovery. In one of the tombs, dating back around 1340 BC, they found the skeleton of a young woman aged 18-20, wrapped in a material made from plant fibers. Although tomb number 3051 was located in a cemetery for common people, the woman apparently belonged to the wealthier strata of society, which indicates the presence of gold rings on her hands. Particular attention was drawn to the ring with the image of the deity Bas, who guarded the hearth and women. However, the most surprising discovery was a bone mass with teeth found in the pelvic area of the skeleton. This formation, the researchers suggest, is an invariant teratoma, a tumor containing tissue that is unusual for a given location, such as hair, bones, or teeth. Perhaps the amulet with the image of the demon was worn by a woman to relieve pain associated with ovarian disease. This discovery is especially valuable since teratomas are extremely rare in archaeological finds. This find is the oldest of all known similar tumors. Research on the Amarna woman suggests that she was an active participant in the social life of the city, which was the capital of Egypt during the reign of Akhenaten. Mesopotamian clay bowls. The clay bowls, more than 5,500 years old, are still shrouded in mystery. These artifacts, ranging in size from golf balls to baseballs, were found at Chogamish in western Iran in the late 1960s. In total, about 150 such bowls were discovered, which only increases intrigue around their purpose. For a long time, the prevailing theory was that the bowls were used as a kind of means of recording economic transactions. This assumption was based on the discovery of a 3,300-year-old bowl containing 49 stones and cuneiform writing describing a deal with a shepherd. However, the exact function of these bowls remain a mystery. In 2013, using computed tomography and 3D modeling, scientists took a look inside the bowls. It turned out that they contained tokens of various shapes, which could serve as numerical signs for recording goods. Researchers are trying to understand the system of which these tokens are grouped within the bowls. One of the surprising finds finds indicates that some tokens were wrapped in cloth and placed in a bowl, then coated with a liquid similar to bitumen. Some bowls had tiny channels, perhaps for thin threads, that could serve as external markers and provide information about the contents. Similar objects have been found in various cultures of the time, including Scotland, where more than 400 carved stone bowls from the Neolithic period have been discovered. What else do you think these mysterious artifacts could symbolize? Leave your guesses in the comments. Tomb of the Royal Scribe. In Abuser, Egypt, Czech Egyptologists made an important discovery. They found the tomb of a young royal scribe, which is approximately 2,500 years old. This find, along with other archaeological discoveries in the region, gives scientists a better understanding of the changes that took place in Egypt in the 5th and 6th centuries BC. The tomb belonged to a certain Jehotihed, who lived during the Persian invasion of Egypt. Only the underground shaft of the tomb has survived, at the bottom of which, at a depth of 14 meters, there was a chamber tomb built from limestone blocks. Inside is a stone sarcophagus with relief decorations, hieroglyphs, and images of ancient Egyptian gods. According to Ladislav Beas of the Czech Institute of Egyptology, the tomb was decorated in the traditional style of the time for important persons, although Jehotihed himself was only a mid-ranking official. The inscriptions on the walls were intended to facilitate his path to the afterlife and ensure eternal bliss. They contained mostly religious texts, the names of his parents, and specific wording including spells to ward off snakes. However, despite the magical text, the tomb of Jehotihed was almost empty when opened, having been plundered around the 5th century AD. The era when the tomb was built was a time of decline of civilization and social upheaval. Examination of the remains showed that Jehotihed died at about 25 years old and already showed signs of severe osteoporosis and spinal wear, possibly due to an occupational disease. 100,000 ancient coins. In Maebashi, Japan, archaeologists have discovered a unique find. Over 100,000 ancient coins, including Chinese Banlian coins dating back to 175 BC. These coins, found during the construction of the factory, cover the period from the 7th to the 13th centuries. They were tied into bundles of 100 pieces using sashi straw ropes. This site, close to the ruins of a Qin dynasty palace, was chosen to hide the treasure, probably because of the approaching war. A total of 1,060 sasha bundles were found, some of which contained up to 1,000 coins. Analysis of 334 coins from the hoard revealed 44 different types of currency, spanning the period from the Western Han Dynasty to the Southern Song Dynasty. The earliest Banlian coin has a diameter of 2.3 centimeters, a square hole in the center, and a thickness of 1 millimeter. The latest coin dates from 1265, indicating that the treasure was hidden during the Kamakura reign. Sheep-drawn chariot. In northwestern China, near the famous Terracotta Army, archaeologists have discovered a sheep-drawn chariot that is about 2,000 years old. This find is a rare artifact, as similar chariots are mentioned in ancient Chinese texts. The remains were found in the western tomb of the mausoleum of Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi, located near the city of Shan, Shaanxi province. The archaeologists who led the excavation said that the structure of the chariot was not preserved due to its long stay in the ground, but the remains of 6 sheep with devices for traction were discovered at the site. Sheep-drawn chariots are a rarity in Chinese history. The emergence of such vehicles is associated with the legend of Emperor Wu, Sima Yan, of the Western Jin dynasty, who, according to legend, traveled on such a chariot around his palace. This legend gave rise to the Chinese phrase "to seek luck in a sheep card," referring to the choice of a wife from a harem of 10,000 wives. The research also uncovered a 4-wheeled wooden chariot with an umbrella, copper artifacts associated with chariots and horses, as well as iron tools and copper weapons. The First War in European History. Reanalysis of more than 300 sets of skeletal remains, some 5,000 years old, excavated in Spain, has led scientists to believe that these people may have been victims of the earliest known war in European history. This assumption places the beginning of military conflicts in the region 1,000 years earlier than previously known. The find was made in the late Neolithic funerary shelter of San Juan Antipotum Latinum in southwest Europe, discovered by chance in 1985. On an area of 20 square meters, a huge number of human remains were found, including 90 complete and 31 incomplete skeletons, as well as many bones. Research has shown that warfare during the Neolithic period was poorly understood. Previously, it was believed that the conflicts at the time were short-lived and involved about 20-30 people on each side. It was assumed that the first indigenous societies could not fight long wars. However, archaeologist Teresa Fernandez Crespo and her colleagues found many injuries in adolescent and adult males, which was uncommon at other Neolithic mass grave sites in Europe. This indicated a possible long battle lasting several months. The reasons for the conflict are unknown, but it is believed that it may have been a struggle for leadership between different cultural groups in the region. 200-year-old wine. During excavations near the walls of the Kazan Kremlin, archaeologists from the Kalikov Institute of Archaeology of the Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Tatarstan in Russia discovered a wine cellar from the early 19th century. It contained 0.3-liter green glass bottles, sealed with wax stamps with the manufacturer's initials and year of manufacture. Most of the bottles were broken, but 2 remained intact, and one of them still contained liquid. Scientists have established that the bottles were produced in 1814-1815 at the Chariot glass factory in the Igoryevsky district of the Ryazan province. It is assumed that the wine cellar belonged to the Pereskevo-Patynskaya church, and the wine was used for church ceremonies, in particular for communion. This archaeological find will be subjected to chemical analysis to determine the composition and properties of the ancient wine drink. $20 billion treasure ship. The galleon San Jose, which sank on June 8, 1708 during a naval battle with an English squadron, became one of the most famous underwater finds. A gunpowder explosion occurred on board of the ship, which was carrying 600 people, leading to its destruction and subsequent sinking in the Caribbean Sea. Believed to be lost for centuries, the San Jose was discovered in 2015 by the Colombian Navy at a depth of about 700 meters. On board the ship are chests filled with gold, silver, and emeralds valued at between $4 billion and $20 billion. The situation around the galleon's treasures is complicated by the fact that they are claimed by the American company Sea Search Armada, which claims to have found the wreck of the ship in 1981. The company, through the court, is demanding from the Colombian government half the value of the treasure, $10 billion. In response, the Colombian president turned to creating a public-private partnership to implement the treasure recovery project. Noah's Ark in Turkey. There is a place in Turkey that many believe to be the final refuge of the legendary Noah's Ark up to the biblical flood. Researchers working in this area are confident that they have found confirmation of this. According to the Bible, after the subsidence of the flood that destroyed all sinners on earth, Noah's Ark, on which he, his family, and pairs of animals were, stopped in the mountains of Ararat. The dimensions of the ark were enormous, about 134 by 22 by 13 meters. The Pioneer Formation in Turkey, discovered in 1956, attracts attention because its outline resembles an ark. Despite various claims about the evidence found, many archaeologists have refuted this theory. A Turkish-American team of researchers analyzed rock and soil samples believed to contain remains of the ark. They claim that the finds indicate human activity in the area around 5300 BC, which coincides with the estimated time of the flood. However, the presence of traces of human activity does not prove the existence of a giant wooden ship or a catastrophic flood. Archaeological evidence does not support the existence of the global flood described in the Bible. Most likely, the theme of the Great Flood is a later version of the Mesopotamian flood story mentioned in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Some argue that a localized flood may have occurred in the Mediterranean and Black Sea around 7,500 years ago and provided the inspiration for these stories. But even this interpretation is disputed. So the search for Noah's Ark faces the same problems as the search for Atlantis. Both are based on trying to find evidence for something that has no basis outside of specific stories. Ancient aliens are real. At the first hearings in the Mexican parliament, journalist and ufologist Jamie Mawson already tried to convince of the authenticity of the mummies supposedly thousands of years old. His attempts were unsuccessful then, and parliamentarians recalled past incidents with mummies of Nazca Indians which turned out to be fake. Humanoids, similar to characters from science fiction films, aroused distrust among the hearing participants. The ufologists referred to research from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, but did not provide convincing evidence of their extraterrestrial origin. At the next hearing, ufologist Masson invited anthropologist Roger Zuniga, who stated that there were no traces of human intervention in the formation of humanoids. He stressed that their origin remains unknown. Argentine surgeon Celestino Adolfo Pietro expressed the opinion that the humanoids could be an evolved version of modern humans, calling them our descendants. Do you believe in the reality of these mummies? Write your opinion in the comments under the video. It's really interesting to know how many people among my viewers believe in alien mummies. The Chinese are urinating on this statue. In China, there is a unique group of monuments designed to express contempt for the figure depicted on them, the national traitor Kanggu or Hui. This figure is famous for his betrayal in the 12th century of the great hero of China, Yue Fei, who fought against the nomads and contributed to the unification of the state. Kanggu accused the military leader Yue Fei of stopping the persecution of the nomads and secretly executed him, thereby depriving the country of a national hero. In this regard, when the monument to Kanggu was erected, he immediately became an object of hatred and contempt. This approach to monuments is rare in China, usually reserved for controversial historical figures. The monument is a statue of Kanggu and his relatives kneeling in a pose of repentance. Previously, the Chinese practiced desecration of the monument by urinating on it, but the government introduced a ban on such actions, leaving only the option of spitting and cursing at the statue. Kanggu has become a symbol of lies and betrayal in Chinese culture, in contrast to Yue Fei, whose name is associated with heroism and devotion. An interesting fact is that in Chinese cuisine there is even a dish named after Kanggu and his wife. These are elongated donuts that are fried in boiling oil, symbolizing their eternal punishment. This is an example of how China long preserves the memory of its heroes and traitors. Another interesting thing is that the Chinese can urinate and spit on the statue, but tourists should under no circumstances do this. Otherwise, you will immediately go to prison for desecrating the monument. Gilton Cave. Gilton Cave in Scotland, considered one of the oldest cities in the country, has recently become the subject of scientific debate. Located in the Edinburgh suburb of Gilmerton, the cave was open to the public just 20 years ago, but its true origins still raise questions. The cave, consisting of 2 corridors and 8 rooms, was completely carved out of sandstone by hand. It was once believed that it served as a temple for the Druids and was closed by them to preserve the sanctity of the place. However, new data casts doubt on this version. Some researchers have suggested that the cave may have been used as an isolated pub, although the presence of several such establishments in the small village makes this theory unlikely. The complexity and quality of the sandstone work in the cave, as well as the presence of curved horn-shaped tables, indicate a period before the Christian era. Therefore, the dating of the construction of the cave presumably dates back to 500 BC to 500 AD, a period when Druids may have lived in the region. Exploration of the cave continues, and the discovered hidden part of the bay may reveal even more secrets in the future. Scientists do not rule out that Gilton Cave may subsequently be recognized as a unique surviving sanctuary of an ancient culture, despite numerous mysteries and the lack of concrete evidence about its original purpose. And to learn more about the ancient world and new archaeological discoveries, I recommend that you subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for your views, bye everyone!